because with us in studio, the owner, and we say good morning to Mr. Stoddard. Mike Stoddard, how are you?
Morning, Art. Great.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Westside Decorating, how long have you had it now? Because you got it from your uncle.
Yeah, so somebody just asked me that the other day, and it's already been, this will be the 7th year.
Is that right, already?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you worked for Gary for how long?
19 years.
So you've been in the industry 26? Then you're only 25 years
yeah,
old.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Don't feel like it, but...
Well, I tell people all the time, my brain tells me I'm 50 years old. My body tells me my brain's a liar. So what are you going to do? If you have any questions, folks, about home decorating, paint, wallpaper, staining, anything like that, fixing problems, you can give us a call, 989-752-6111, and Mike will help you out with some answers to point you in the right direction. So what's new at Westside Decorating? You knew that question
Yeah, I knew
was
that was coming. A lot of stuff. So we brand new flooring displays, so new carpet displays, new hardwood displays, new laminate displays we just put up. We have a new paint stripping system that's in the store called Speed Heater. That's brand new. We just
What
became
is that? Let's talk about that for a minute.
That's an infrared paint stripper. So if you've ever used a heat gun or seen people using a heat gun to strip paint off of doors, trims, windows, usually used a lot on historic houses. Paint heat guns are they're very damaging, and they can actually start fires pretty easily. They strip at around 1,000 to 1,200 degrees. The infrared heater that we have strips at about 400 to 500 degrees, and it actually will pull the very first coating off of the wood, as opposed to the heat gun that works kind of from the top down. So the heat gun is kind of melt and strip away. The infrared is kind of loosening everything, so you can just scrape it right away.
Just out of curiosity, can you use that kind of a device to soften up wallpaper?
Not on that one, but wallpaper is its own kind of animal. We do have a wallpaper stripper, though, or a steamer that we rent out if people need help with that.
The steamer does it?
Yep, the steamer will do it.
Moist heat.
Just uses hot water. It heats it up in the system, and then it just has a couple different tools that you can use to apply to the wall and soften the wallpaper.
I can remember the days of or listen to the Mrs. Show. We used to get calls all the time. What's the best way to strip wallpaper? How do I get this off the wall?
Yeah, there were a lot of vinegar and water sort of things.
That was a biggie.
And then, of course, it depends on what kind of paste was used with wallpaper. So the strippers are the best. We do have wallpaper stripping solutions you can use if you wanted to just do it, manually.
Is there a difference on how you take wallpaper off that's been there 10 years versus wallpaper that's been there 50 years?
Not really. Sometimes the old wallpaper comes off easy because the adhesive is starting to let go. The newer papers sometimes strip a little easier, too. If it was within the last 10 years, they're coming out with what's called strippable papers and strippable paste. So it just makes it easier to take off when you get done. And now we have peel and stick wallpaper, which is easy to hang. It doesn't sound like it would be, but it's very easy.
You don't need nothing, right?
Yeah, no adhesive, and it'll strip right off when you're ready to take it off the wall. Won't damage the wall. So that's we have that in stock in the store.
Is wallpaper making a comeback? I've asked this before because
very cyclical, and we do see a lot of people coming in. We have a lot of wallpaper books to look through. We have maybe 400 or so. We check those out.
That's always the problem.
Yeah, we check those out if customers want to take them out of the store and go look and see how things look in their home. So, yeah, we have a huge selection, and, yeah, I do actually think it's on the upturn.
So let's talk about that for a minute. Somebody comes in, and they've decided they're thinking they want to put up wallpaper.
Mm-hmm.
400 books, that's imposing.
It is. Yeah, we usually try to narrow down, obviously, what room they're looking for if they have something in mind. Our designers kind of know all the books by heart because they've looked through them all. As soon as we get a new book in, all of them are looking to see what's in it, what patterns. So they know, so they can point people in the right direction as far as that. So it doesn't take as much time as you'd think. We can get you a couple books that might work. You can take them home, see what you like.
So that's the trick, is to start out talking to somebody that can help you get through it.
Exactly.
All right, so paint is always number one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're always known as a paint store.
Are we at the point yet where we can think about doing external projects outside?
We do have some people doing some projects outside. Obviously, the weather's been a little spotty.
And this weekend's going to ruin all that.
Exactly. Yeah, we keep going hot to cold. The big thing right now this time of year is the not only the temperature, but the higher humidity, and then we also have everything's just wet outside. if you're painting something like vinyl or aluminum, it might work on a nice day, but wood, decks, things like that, you have to wait.
Because the moisture's in them.
Yeah, we need to get moisture content like under 15%, which, it might be 30% right now in most woods.
Let's separate out wood siding on the house and decks.
Mm-hmm.
They're not treated the same, are they?
Correct. As far as the products that go on them, we do have some products that can go on both. They're usually called solid stains. But they're
It's more like a paint, though.
Yeah, exactly. They're made for foot traffic, and
it
they're going.
looks like a paint.
Yeah, it's a solid opaque coating. It's going to still penetrate into bare wood, so you don't have to use a special primer if you're doing bare wood. But it is made for foot traffic. If we get the deck version, anything for siding, sheds, fences, usually a little bit of a flatter finish. Looks a little nicer on a vertical surface than something with a sheen, and it's still called a solid stain. And of course, then we have semi-transparents and semi-solids as well.
All right, let's talk about that deck for a minute. Most decks are made with treated wood, treated lumber. How long, from the time you buy that lumber from one of the lumber yards, you build that deck, now you've got a deck, but it's bare. There's nothing on it, but it's treated lumber. How long before you can come in and paint or stain that deck?
Yeah, so the good test there, when I first started 20-some years ago, it was, we always say wait a season. If you put it in this year, wait till next year to do any staining. That's changed a little bit, mostly because of the chemicals they use to treat the wood. So, and it also depends on if that wood that you have on your deck was sitting outside for 4 months before you put it on at a mill.
So it's already lost some of its...
Exactly. So the best thing to do is just to sprinkle a little water on the wood. If it soaks in, then that chemical treatment is gone. If it beads up, that means that chemical treatment's still there, and you have to, wait for it to weather out a little bit more.
So you can't just sand the surface and go for it.
Yeah, because that stuff is just ingrained in the wood, that chemical, so it just has to weather
volatile.
out.
It comes out through the grain, right?
Exactly, with sun and moisture, yep.
So you mentioned solid stains, which to me is like paint, and I've used them. I used them on a picnic table. What kind of other stains are there that you can use on decks that have some lifespan, and how often do you have to do them?
Sure. So, we have about 4 different products you can use on decks. Usually when people do a brand new deck, they want to see the wood grain. So they start with either like a clear finish or like a semi-transparent stain that's going to just show you that nice wood grain. As the deck ages, you can start using semi-solid stains, which are just going to cover up a little bit more of the wood grain. And then obviously the solid coatings is kind of your last step with your deck as it ages. You need a little bit more protection, maybe a little bit more opaqueness to cover, some of the defects in the wood. Exactly. And solid coatings and the semi-solids are going to last the longest. And, of course, the clear coats are going to have to be done almost every year. Semi-transparents maybe every 2 to 3 years, depending on, cloud or sun cover and all that good stuff.
Can you spray them on?
You can. Most stains or stains or deck finishes, they're going to recommend if you do spray them on that they want you to back brush or back roll. So that just means if you have someone spraying ahead of you.
Then you don't gain anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe a little speed if you have 2 people, but if you have 2 people, you could just be brushing it. I always usually tell people brush is the best because it's going to push it into the wood the furthest. Even rolling doesn't give you as much pressure as a brush does, so that's the best application. And we have brushes that will fit on the end of an extension pole, so you can do it standing up. You don't have to get on your hands and knees.
I was just going to say, buy knee pads.
Exactly. We have tools to make it easy.
Well, that's your description of easy. Mike Stoddard with us from Westside Decorating Center. If you have any questions about interior decorating, exterior decorating, paint, wallpaper, carpet, window treatments, all that stuff, give us a call, 989-752-6111. And you have a chance now to win some money. Hi, we're back with you. In studio with me, Mike Stoddard owns Westside Decorating Center in Saginaw. If you have any questions about home decorating, give us a call. Home decorating, and I've known, I'd known your Uncle Gary forever and Westside Decorating forever. Mm-hmm. And then you came in and you've kind of expanded you didn't expand the term home decorating because everything you've done is within that term.
Mm-hmm.
But you certainly expanded the scope of what the company carries now.
Sure. Yeah. So we were lucky enough to get expanded showroom too a couple of years ago. We doubled in size for our showroom, and that was very helpful. But yeah, now we carry countertops. So we do laminate, but we do a lot of granite and quartz and porcelain countertops, and we can also do like custom showers, tile. We have a huge ceramic tile display for backsplashes and showers. So yeah, a couple of extra additions.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, like bedding, curtains, drapes.
Yes. Yeah, all of that as well. Yes. Custom.
All right, we're going to go out to Caro, and we're going to talk to Mark. Mark, you're on with Mike Stoddard. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're doing well.
Hey, I had a project. I just wanted to follow up and thank Westside for excellent job with recommending the California paint on the lower cabinets. I did a sage, and I'm a Behr paint user, but not anymore. I'm a firm believer in the California paint. There was no brush strokes and proper application, I think, from made the difference.
That's the key, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one question I did have is we talked about when I was in there getting my paint was redoing my floors Lions color, black, gray, and blue. Mm-hmm. But my question is I have four-legged friends running around my house. Is there odor when I put that product down first? Should I be concerned?
No, I mean the water-based paint that we have for flooring or for floors is low VOC, so it's pretty much the same sort of a product that you would put on your walls. So the same VOC as the ceramic paint for your cabinets would be the same stuff for the walls. And California Paint makes a floor paint called All Floor. It's an epoxy fortified water-based paint, so super easy to apply, nothing special. There's no catalyst. It's just brush and rolled on. And we can do any color, so we could do those Lions colors for you.
So just out of curiosity, he puts down this paint. He's got four-legged friends at home. How long before anybody, including the four-legged friends, can walk on it?
Yeah, within the paint's going to dry in 30 minutes. They say the recoat time's around 4 hours. Obviously, the longer you can stay off of it, the better, especially with sharp nails. So if it's an area where you could block the dogs off, a day or so would be fine. But the longer, the better.
Nice. Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks,
Hey,
Mark.
all right. Thanks for calling, Mark. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Bye now.
Yep.
It is flooring can be tricky, can't it?
It can be. I mean, there's some variables, especially depending on whether you're staining a floor, painting it, or actually putting flooring down. There's different rules for different projects.
So let's say you've got maybe you just redid some flooring and you put down new flooring. All right, boards. What's the process if you want to paint it rather than lay linoleum or carpet or anything on it?
Mm-hmm.
You want to paint it like he does.
Yeah. Usually in his case, I'm assuming that it was, it's already got a coating on it. So if it does have a coating on it, we just need to kind of know what that is, if it's a polyurethane or if it was painted previously, if it's concrete floor. But if it's like a wood that's been polyurethaned and stained, usually we want to just rough that up with some sandpaper, clean all the sanding dust off. We've got adhesion primers is what they're called. So we have 2 different primers in our store that will stick to like plastic and glass, and they basically, once they go on, they don't come off. So that's what you want to use if you're going over a floor like that. And then any of our floor paints can go over top of that primer.
So when you put that primer down, does it leave a smooth surface?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very smooth. Primers are pretty thin. They're not thick like regular paint. They're made to, it's almost like I always equate it to like a double-sided tape. Their theory is give you good adhesion going down to what you're
If
on.
You're calling in, we'll get you answered here in just a minute. Just keep it ringing.
Sure.
And so you put that primer down. How long can you wait before you paint on it?
Usually those primers are about 2 to 3 hours recoat time, so it's pretty fast.
Well, it's not that bad. Then.
Yeah, so you could do a coat of primer and at least 1 coat of paint in the same day.
Typically, how many coats of paint do you need on a floor?
I would do 3. I would do 1 primer, 2 of the finished paints. So usually maybe if you're going to do 3 coats, we'd recommend you maybe do 2 coats one day and the 3rd coat the next day. Just layering too many coats of paint on top of each other in the same day can cause some issues, especially on a floor.
Yeah. All right, let's talk to Debbie in Saginaw. Debbie, you're on with Mike Stoddard from Westside Decorating. Good morning.
Good morning. I have a question with regard to painters whether or not they do or do not use caulk anymore. We have a brand new, newly constructed residence. We've not moved in yet, but there's virtually no caulk anywhere along where typically you would find it in a bathroom. And our builder, upon our final walkthrough, stated they don't use it anymore. I'm not finding that when I'm reading online, but this is an opportune time to find out from an expert exactly what is and is not common to use these days.
Good question.
Yeah, and I'm gonna side with you on this one. Most of our painters are buying caulk with their paint purchases, and whether it's inside or outside, caulk has got a couple different. There's a couple different reasons you use caulk. One, obviously, to make a finished look, but I think more importantly, to prevent moisture from getting behind.
To seal it.
Yeah, whatever. If it's a bathtub or a shower or a bathroom or your
Windows.
outside windows, yeah, that caulk's got a purpose. So, for someone to say that they don't use it anymore, if there's a gap, that means water's getting behind something.
Exactly.
Which is why it should be caulked.
If we, presuming we haven't gone back to our builder yet with our
Punch
list of items that, there you go. But that, I'm almost thinking I just want to ignore that part. They'll just send and hire someone to come over specifically to do caulk. Can we do that?
Yeah. If you call me after the show at the store, I can get you a couple names of people that will do that for you.
Yeah,
But I would do this first. I would do this first. You paid that builder to build your house. I would tell that builder, in your mind, that house is not complete. And on your punch list, it needs to be caulked.
See if they'll do it, yeah.
But then your point is well taken, Art. But if they simply say they don't do it anymore, this is a very well-regarded builder in the community. I almost want to pay someone separately rather than have them not send over more than a less than highly qualified professional.
Right.
We want a professionally done caulk job. But your point is well taken. We can try that first and see what kind of response. It would go on our list, but we just don't know who they're going to send over, and that's what I would question.
Yeah. Well, that's your choice, and that's a fair evaluation. Give
Yep.
Mike a call.
All right. I will. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
your time.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye now. The alternate to that is, how difficult is it to caulk?
Not really. I mean, it maybe takes a little technique, but we have caulk smoothing tools that help apply the caulk. We have some really good caulks as far as elasticity. So we have one called Pro Stretch. It's made to span big gaps up to like 2 inches. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, and without cracking.
Wouldn't
so
even
for
think of caulking a 2-inch gap.
for outside, yeah, it works perfect. You can still use it inside as well.
All right, we'll take a break, come back. We'll get to more calls when we return here on WSGW.
Hi, I'm Ray from Begigners.
And in studio with me, Mike Stoddard, who owns Westside Decorating Center in Saginaw, answering your questions about decorating. And we have Joe in St. Charles with us. Joe, you're on with Mike. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. You may have already addressed this question. I don't know, but we have a cabin up north. We just built a new cabin up north with a basement, and I'm wondering what I should put on the floor of that basement. That basement is dry. It hasn't had any water in it, and whatever. But
And we assume a cement floor?
it's a cement floor,
Okay.
and it has heat in the floor. It's heated floor.
Nice.
In the
With
basement.
heat pipes in the floor.
You sure that's just a cabin?
Well, yeah, I guess maybe it might be my retirement home. How's that? We're a little bit beyond. Yeah, it's up there north of Gaylord, and
Nice.
we haven't had any water issues. Like, we've been building it for like 3 years, but we haven't done nothing with the basement floor yet. And I was just curious and I'd like to paint it. I don't want to put nothing on the floor because I don't think it's going to be, it'll be more of a recreation room possibly with, stuff. It won't be a living area. Put it
No.
that way.
And if he paints it, he can always put something else down later, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can put rugs down. You can repaint it later. But yeah, there's two products you could use, Joe. I would say we had the one we talked about earlier to another caller was All Floor. That is a product we can do pretty much any color. That's a low sheen floor paint. So if you want something that's maybe a little bit more anti-slip, that would be a great one. That's called All Floor. And then the other one we have is called E1 Epoxy. It's a single component epoxy, which means no mixing. You just take it right out of the can, put it on the floor. That comes in about 8 different colors, and it's more of a semi-gloss finish. A little bit more durable than All Floor, but it could be a little bit slipperier too.
So I have to ask, before Joe puts down this paint, do you have to do something to prime the concrete? Didn't you have to use to etch it or do something like
Yeah,
that?
so etching is still recommended. Sometimes concrete can become very, very smooth, or maybe it was poured very smooth, and sometimes that inhibits adhesion of a product. So acid etching used to be the thing. Now they have just regular etching solutions. They come as a powder that mix in water. That's okay if you have a relatively clean floor that's not super smooth. If it's really, really smooth, they do have floor grinders that you can rent from a rental place.
You need this. You need to have some kind of
Yeah, you need to have some sort of
texture.
profile. Yeah, that will absorb the epoxy or the floor paint better than a very smooth, impervious substrate.
Okay. So you're kind of recommending that I probably should get like a sander or grinder of some sort.
That'd be your best bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the acid etching is kind of tough because it's water, so then you have to have a drain and you have to let everything dry out. So if you can do the grinding, that's the best way to do it.
If you grind, then you don't have to etch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is your
That's your
final
edge.
step. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey, you're welcome, Joe. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye now.
All right. Bye-bye.
So, I mean, these paints, fairly new.
All Floor is fairly new. That's the one that's the water-based epoxy
these
emulsion.
These aren't ceramic-based paints, are
Nope,
they?
not the more of an epoxy-based paint, but they're still low odor soap and water cleanup,
How
which
do you
is
get
nice.
a one-step epoxy
I know,
that's already pre-mixed?
Isn't that crazy? Because
yeah.
epoxy usually think you have part A and part
chemical.
B. Yeah, which we do have those epoxies. Those are usually professionally applied because they're coming in big, like 2 or 3 gallon buckets, and they need shoe spikes and special applicators, and those are more for the professional garage floor coatings that you see done. But the other products we have are easy to use right out of the can.
So there's an interesting question there. So he's got a basement.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the wear and tear on a basement floor is different than a garage.
Sure.
Is the paint different from the basement floor to the garage floor?
It is, yeah. So for walking traffic, the All Floor is great. For a garage floor, the E1 epoxy would be the way to go. It's a little bit shinier. It has something in it that prohibits what we call hot tire pickup, which is just that when you're coming in off the road with your hot tires, they're not only hot, they're bringing in rain, salt, stones,
Sure.
everything that's in them. It's a little bit more impervious to that, so a little bit more protection.
Still have to prep the cement, though.
Yeah,
fresh cement.
Same way in a garage, we really recommend grinding. Even though you can acid etch easier in a garage, everything is kind of going toward the grinding steps because it's a much better prep step than anything else.
So let's take it from a different approach. Let's take a garage that's 20 years old,
Mm-hmm.
had a painted floor on it, starting to show its age.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to do to paint over that?
Yeah, so I mean, if it's in decent shape but maybe just peeling a little bit, you could just scrape areas that are peeling and recoat. Obviously, anytime you recoat something that's older, you have the chance down the road of that first coating letting loose, which is what we see a lot of times on decks. You do all your scraping, you get all the loose stuff off, and then you paint over, and then a couple years later, the original coating pops off, pops your new paint off. So, but for the decks, I was going to say we do have a product called Deck Fix, which will go over top of your old coating that's on there that maybe you can't get off or you've scraped everything off. It'll glue it down so it won't peel up in the future. So we sell quite a bit of Deck Fix.
Deck Fix.
Yeah, it's a product from Mad Dog.
Deck Fix from Mad Dog.
Mad Dog primers. Yeah,
Where do they
make
come up
they
with
make
these
specialty
names?
primers. That's all they make. It's kinda
Really?
cool,
That's
yeah.
all they make?
Yep. They have 5 different products. They're all primers, and they're all they were started for historic homes on the east coast of the country, and then they've kind of moved over to the Midwest, and you can use them for almost any project.
So what's different about what you'd use on a historic home versus a 30-year-old
Yeah,
home?
so usually historic homes have lots of coats of paint on them, because
Yeah.
they're so old and they get painted often. So as those start to peel, you can use a heat gun or our infrared stripper or like just a scraper, and you can sometimes scrape until you can't scrape anymore, and the paint will eventually just stop coming off, and then you obviously have that issue with if you just paint over it, that original paint might peel again. So Mad Dog will go on, glue that old paint down, and it also is it almost dries to like a slightly tacky finish. So when you put your top coat on there, it sticks right to it, and they say it'll make paint jobs last 2 to 3 times longer. I can attest to that because we have people that have used it 10 years ago that come in and say, my deck used to peel all the time, doesn't peel anymore. So I've used it myself on trim and a deck at my house, and same results.
All right, we'll take a break, come back. Mike Stoddard, our guest, 989-752-6111 if you have any decorating questions. You in studio with me, Mike Stoddard, who owns Westside Decorating Center. In all of this conversation, of course, and I get to this every time, you can have the best paint, the best of everything, and a $2 paintbrush. They don't go together, do they?
They don't. I was just even going to go with a $5 paintbrush, because I was going to say there's a big difference between like a $5 paintbrush and a $10 paintbrush. And of course, paintbrush is going to go all the way up to $20 or $30 depending on what the use is. But you're right. If you're buying a good gallon of paint, they apply so much differently with a mediocre brush and a really good brush. So for the few dollars more, get the better roller, get the better brush. It'll make your life easier. It'll make the job look better.
So what makes a brush better?
So the better brushes, they have more tapered bristles. So it's something you don't really notice when you look at them, but there's going to be different lengths of bristles. Less expensive brushes, they're almost all the same size. They also pack a lot more bristles into better brushes. So you're paying for more bristles, which means when you dip your brush in the can and you go to the wall, you're going to paint a lot longer because you're going to have a lot more paint on that brush than a cheap brush. So the cheap materials just make your life a little harder.
Is there a difference in the bristle itself?
There can be. I mean, the better bristles are going to be nylon polyester. Chinex is a new one. If you can get a Chinex brush, they can be used for oil base or latex. It's just a filament for the brush, but it cleans up really good. I just cleaned up one the other day, and I didn't even use soap. I just used hot water, and the paint came right out of the bristles, and it was like brand new. So Chinex is
I would
is
like
kind of
that.
the way to go, yeah.
Now, look, there's an interesting question. You get done painting. You got a Chinex brush. You spent the money, all right? You go to your sink. What are you doing when you wash that paint down your sink?
That's a good question. I mean, as far as I'm sure the municipalities go, they would tell you not to do that. Taking it outside, you can obviously use a hose. They tell people you obviously don't pour things down, the drain, or people used to pour paint thinners out in the yard and things like that. I mean, that's all bad for the environment.
That's bad, yeah.
They have hazardous material pickups usually 3 or 4 times a year in different communities. That's where to look for if you want to dispose of anything hazardous like paint thinners or lacquers or old paint that you don't know how to get rid of.
But if you have old paint, don't you have a solidifier?
We do. So there's a solidifier. It comes in little packets, and it's used strictly for latex paints, which is what most people have. But they say that most homes have got 20 gallons of paint sitting in the basement, and most of them, if you go down there, you're going to find rusted cans and maybe dried up paint already. So you can just dispose of those like normal. But if you have anything that's liquid form, it's like almost like a crystallized sand that pours into the paint. You stir it up, and it will solidify within about 30 minutes. Then it can be disposed of,
Just
like
in
regular,
garbage.
like regular trash. Yep,
Which is important to do it properly.
exactly. Yep.
Well, let's just for the minute we have left here, common paint things are painting the walls in your house, for example. If you've got a wall in your house and you just want to repaint it, you want to change the color, whatever, do you have to do a lot of prep on that wall?
Not really. No priming necessary unless you're maybe changing colors drastically, and then a primer would help.
So I got to ask this. What about our old friend TSP?
Yes, you can still use TSP. Yeah, it comes usually now in a water, or I should say a liquid version that you mix with water. So it's a TSP concentrate. It's phosphate free. Phosphate used to be in the old powdered product.
Trisodium phosphate.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
name.
now they call it a TSP substitute. So it's the same cleaner, but without the phosphate, which means you don't have to rinse, which is nice.
So, other than that, you're ready to paint.
Basically ready to paint. Patch the walls first, obviously, any areas that need patching, and then you can do a spot prime those little areas, and then just paint your wall.
Too easy.
Yeah, try to make it. Try to make it easy.
And just in the few seconds we have left here, home decorating centers like yours, you now have all kinds of flooring, carpet,
Yep, hard surface, hardwood. Yep.
And is the hardwood floor something that the average homeowner can do for themselves?
They could if they're handy. I mean, it's not hard to.
It's all tongue and groove, right?
Yeah, it's tongue and groove. It's almost like click-lock flooring. I mean, maybe a little bit more difficult to install. But yeah, if you're handy and you've watched some videos, yeah, that could be easily done.
Yeah, I don't know about those videos. I watched videos before I tiled my kitchen floor. Videos lied to me. All right. Well, listen, Mike, tell everybody your hours.
Yes, we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5:30, Saturdays 9 until 3.
And they're at 5789 State Street in Saginaw. Yep. Mike, we'll do it again.
Yes, thanks, Art.
Mike Stoddard, Westside Decorating Center. We thank him for being with us, and we thank you, too. We'll tell you what's coming up on Focus in a moment.
My name is Sophia. I'm an
Art Lewis Show for this Friday. We thank you for being with us. Coming up on Focus, we're going to learn about the Spring Parade of Homes from the Home Builders Association of the Great Lakes Bay region. That will follow the news, which is from CBS, the National and International Report. Michael Percha in the WSGW newsroom to fill you up with the local news. And then we'll be back. I'm Art Lewis. Talk to you soon.
Broadcasting from the